Well, Deliveroo is rolling out its subscription service now. It's offering unlimited free deliveries for $19 per month. In the Uber competitive space, it's not hard to see why one food delivery service is trying to foster loyalty amongst customers, but will it work?
Yeah, for tonight's Taking Stock, we're joined by John Rolfe, Cost of Living Editor at News Corp, and Stephen Schiller, the Digital CEO and former CEO of Facebook Australia, to try and pick that apart. It is an interesting one, the idea of a subscription service for a delivery food product. John, were you surprised to see this one getting a bit of airtime?
I think this is a terrific idea. It does make sense to me.
You reckon?
Yeah, because, I mean, in business, you're trying to raise your average revenue per user, trying to get more money out of them. This is a highly competitive market. People probably don't particularly care who it is that delivers the food. It's the food they care about, not so much who delivered it. So if you can lock in more of their share of wallet, why not? Why wouldn't you do it? I've never used, I'll own up to this, I've never used Deliveroo or Uber Eats, never had it delivered. I know some people who wake up on a Saturday morning and they get McDonald's delivered to them for breakfast, but I have never used it. But I tell you, one of the things that they're looking at here, one of the opportunities for them is to deliver more groceries to people, and that to me is appealing because I am sick of driving on Sydney's roads for those sort of tasks that aren't particularly rewarding. So if they could, they might get me in with something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because it does just kind of have this image in my head when you talk about, because we worked out you've got to basically do 5
deliveries the numbers on this
per
one.
month. Chris is all over this. 5 deliveries per month to make that worth your while. And I'm thinking it's kind of, you're getting on the couch potato kind of level, but some people, I guess, do it more. We had a story of Brendan Favola who racked up something like a $50,000 bill for Uber Eats in just a few months. So, I mean, that guy's really going to benefit.
Yeah,
but
ads.
Yeah, exactly. That was a good enough ad.
I think 5 a month isn't that high.
You don't
reckon? No, I mean, we are in an on-demand economy now.
Yeah.
Certain segments of the economy, people don't use their kitchens like they used to. They don't shop like they used to, particularly certain types of consumers. And now with parents having to work more, not being home to cook dinner for their kids, takeaway, takeout, home delivery is bigger than ever. Look at the boom in businesses like Domino's in this country around mobile delivery. That's taken off. We're one of the most home-delivered countries in the world for food, and I think this is just another step in that. And I think what's interesting about this move is, it's so easy to switch between home delivery options. I was talking to a friend recently, and he said he went home one night and he was late, and he ordered some food for his teenage kids, and he got it delivered by Uber Eats. He went home the next night and said, "Kids, I'm going to order food again," and his kids said, "Don't use Uber Eats. It took 22 minutes."
Oh, right, yeah.
Use Deliveroo, use somebody else. And so that's how quickly you can change from one to the other. Right? It's just another app on your phone.
Yep.
So what does a subscription service do? It locks you in, regardless of whether it was 22 minutes, 23 minutes, 19 minutes. Who cares? I've subscribed.
Yeah.
And certainly Amazon has blazed the trail here, particularly in the US, with a subscription-based service where it does lock people in. It's a very powerful way at a low price to lock people into your service.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is genius for those 2 reasons that we've gone through here. So to look at the numbers, the delivery costs between $3 and $7 for Deliveroo. Most Australians, according to Finder Research, get delivery food 3.5 times per month. So Brooke said the magic number is 4. Absolutely right. So this is genius for 2 reasons, because they're bumping up the amount of times that people are likely to do it to get their money's worth. And also, to your point, they're getting the competition element out of it, and they're trying to get a bit more loyalty in the game. It's a
pretty good price point. I mean,
it's interesting.
Look at Netflix is
well,
what, $14
especially if you're talking about groceries, though. That's when my ears just pricked up. I hadn't actually thought of the extension to groceries. Because I think, if you go on Woolworths or Coles, it costs $10 or $12 for delivery at the moment anyway, right? So if I do one Deliveroo and one
I think those delivery charges will go away over the next few years. There'll just be too much competition. You won't be able to get, a $200 order and still charge for it.
$10. It's so ridiculous.
I like eating out. I don't want to lose that experience if the kids are behaving, and hi kids if you're watching. But I do want to lose having to go to the supermarket. It's not fun.
That's such a good point.
And that's where they could help me. I'm not probably going to have to do it 4 times in a month, I hope. But then again, when you think about it, that's only once a week.
Yeah.
A weekly shop. If I could avoid that, they'd get my money.
And of course, as we said, anything that's kind of just subscription and it kind of every month it just goes out of your account, you don't have to think about it. You don't notice, especially when you go on holidays for 3 months and bam, they just earn $60 off you, you weren't even around. So yes, there's that side as well. Now, big question today for Australians, should we be saving our tradies' utes? The Morrison government was sounding, you'd have to say, increasingly desperate ahead of the federal election today, suggesting a vote for Bill Shorten is actually a vote against Australia's tradies' beloved utes out there. So are you surprised at how much attention's being paid to this I guess, what we would think would be a peripheral policy idea, and how this conversation is unfolding. Noting that the hashtag Save Our Tradies Utes that was on social media that Senator Cash tried to get going today did not take off whatsoever.
I think that's an early indicator as to how big this issue is going to be.
You reckon a new level of utter shamelessness, I think someone quite rightly put today. But, you know, there's other commentators out there saying this actually could be one of the defining issues in the election. What do we think about all this?
Well, personally, I think it's sad if that's the defining issue, because I think there's much more important issues that if this election, any election, should be thought on. But you know, on the bigger issue of, you know, last I checked, you know, electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles are not, you know, they're not little clown cars, right? You see the Teslas on the road, they're pretty powerful vehicles, right? It's how the car is propelled. It's not the type of car that gets built. So having a hybrid or electric ute in 10, 12 years' time, it's probably going to be even more powerful than that petrol engine that you have today. So, you know, don't get all uptight about putting petrol in your car versus a battery. That's not the issue. You're still going to have your ute. It's still going to be powerful. There'll be no problem.
Yeah, because Scott Morrison's saying we still want grunt in our cars, right? But as
you'll have plenty of grunt.
There'll be plenty of grunt.
There'll be plenty of grunt.
So that's a dead issue.
I could not disagree more. Track this issue back. What are they really talking about here? They're talking about energy policy. And energy policy, along with immigration policy, are probably the two hot button issues in Australia. They're the conversations we can't stop having. We've been in that same conversation for 10 years, and this is just the latest iteration of that. So Bill Shorten doesn't know how long it takes to charge an electric car, but he's quite happy to see 50% of all new car sales in 2030 be electric cars. Even though we have vast distances, this is not Norway. It's a much more difficult proposition to roll that out, I think, in Australia. Now, I don't want to hold back the tide of electric vehicles, and I think that they are coming and nothing will stop that. But I think that Scott Morrison might, in fact, be onto something here. Hiluxes are amongst the most popular cars in Australia.
Yeah, but they're already planning an electric Hilux.
Yeah, where is it right now?
Well, not very far off.
The hybrid's only a year off,
the hybrids, this year or next year, I think.
Yeah, so hybrids are 0.2% of new car sales in Australia. And to me, this is a good issue for Scott Morrison to be going after, and it is just a new...
Why does it resonate? I'm confused why it resonates. I mean, I saw someone, Sam Maiden, who's a well-known political journalist, she says she reckons it's going off like a frog in a sock in the focus groups, which is why we might just keep seeing this thing being hounded on by the coalition. I don't get why it does so well.
Look, I really wish that that the ETS that John Howard thought was a good idea had come into place in the last decade, and we weren't having any of these conversations that we've been going round and round and round for the past decade. However, we are, and to me it is very smart, and I'm not surprised that it is going off like a frog in a sock, because...
But Bill Shorten's not taking away anyone's utes. Right?
He kind of went pretty far in saying that.
But we don't yet know how it is he plans to ensure that 50% of new car sales are hybrids. How does he intend to do that?
Well, because the global auto industry will just...
Well, sure, but first of all, it's just a target. Second of all, it's a target that's 10 years away. Thinking back to where electric vehicles were 10 years ago, I mean, it's probably not a stretch to say that it would already be pretty close to 50%, right?
I agree with you. I think those issues are the big issues. I'm a pragmatist, though. You know, he can set a target for 10 years from now. He won't be prime minister 10 years from now.
That's another good point. Yeah.
We'll probably have 4 between now and then. So what he says now in this campaign is essentially irrelevant to what happens in 2030. So I discount it to that level. It's just irrelevant. You can say anything. You can say we're going to put a man on, a person on Mars, on the sun by, by the year 3000. Great. That's not going to get my vote.
Relevant if it gets him elected.
To me, it may as well be 3030 as well as 2000. It's just too far away, and it's too far over the political horizon to make any difference.
Well, people have been saying that to me today about taxation policy. The real change that both parties are talking about occurs in 2022, 23, and then 2024, 25. Too far away. Several elections away. But that's not when the legislation to make these things happen at that time will get debated and will get passed. It will happen in the next term of Parliament. And that is when you would expect to see the rubber hit the road, really, on this type of thing. I do think the first two issues we've discussed tonight are related, though. I think the idea of what's going on with driverless vehicles, people getting out of their cars, the changes going on in that industry, and the fact that people want more stuff delivered to them. The car is and the car industry is under enormous challenge, just like so many industries are.
Yeah. Well, to hit another enormous topic at the moment, which is the arrival of Amazon, which is interesting because it's stepping up its Australian rollout, but it's focusing on a bit of an unexpected area, which is the luxury beauty products and fragrances. Now, if you think back to when we were first seeing headlines of Amazon hitting Australia, we were all pretty scared that it was going to be a wrecking ball tearing through local retail space. I mean, does a slow and steady and targeted approach seem like more of a logical way to go here for Amazon? Are we all kind of being made fools of in hindsight? Stephen, what do you think?
Well, look, Amazon, when you look at all the categories across Amazon, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of categories. They can't roll them all out at once. It's simply logistically impossible. Now that they're moving into fragrance and luxury beauty, I mean, it's just another category they're adding. I mean, it's a very attractive category. It's gone from a very low online penetration to quite high. It's about 20-30% just in a few short years. The margins tend to be higher with luxury products, so it's a good space to earn some money. And I would suggest that Australia's online luxury space is relatively undeveloped, so Amazon can come in with a proposition, particularly with overseas players coming and selling their products over Amazon, like Strawberry Net from Hong Kong, which is a big player. So there's a logic. This is just another category they're adding to the mix, and over time you'll see Amazon, as we've seen, Amazon will start to broaden its category, broaden its offering, add the things that you're seeing in other markets, and within a couple of years' time, we will have the full singing and dancing, if not sooner, we'll have the full singing and dancing Amazon offer here in this country.
It's not the conversation I thought we'd be having about Amazon at this point in their journey in Australia. Yes, the predictions of the tumbleweeds blowing through the malls and down the high streets of Australia after Jeff Bezos came and just pillaged the nation and its retail sector. This particular story, to me, what really jumped out at me was the fact that the Morgan Stanley research showed that retail prices on Amazon were 13% higher than they were in the comparable categories against Rebel and JB Hi-Fi. Get your prices down. That's when you'll get some traction.
That's when you take off.
Now, maybe go to the luxury end of the market because you don't care about price, and perhaps those consumers aren't as price sensitive. Maybe they are. They're looking, I think all shoppers are looking for bargains, particularly ones who shop online. So for me, Amazon has been a total bust in Australia, and maybe that's not a bad thing, but then again, perhaps that wasn't the plan all along. Perhaps this scenario in which there would just be a total upheaval was totally unrealistic, and one that maybe the media contributed to.
Yeah, maybe just
I think the media might have contributed to it a bit.
Oh, the richest man in the world, biggest company, all this sort of stuff. Yeah. Well, it is interesting.
Down under.
Yeah, but it is certainly interesting to see their prices where they are, and as you say, it has been a little bit of a bust. John Rolfe, thank you very much. Stephen Sheila, thank you very much.
Guys.
Taking stock tonight.